This is the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. It's presented to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller. This week on the program, we'll sit down with the state champ in North Dakota from the Division A boys basketball side. That is Dustin Brodina, head coach of the Devils Lake Firebirds. And we'll also be joined by YLE Delorme, their senior, for our senior spotlight. He was also nominated to Mr. Basketball. From there, we'll talk a little Hillsboro speech for our upcoming broadcast that we'll have later this week on YourLiveEvent.com. Dennis Hutter of Mayville State women's basketball made its way down to Sioux City, Iowa for the NAIA Women's Sweet 16. They will play Dort on Friday night. We'll hear from Coach Hutter coming up around the corner. Kelly Viken of the Fosston girls basketball team made it to state. We'll sit down with him in our one-on-one with Tom Lano and also Sam Johnson as we take a look ahead to the spring sports season. Sam Johnson of Northern Cass Baseball will be joining the program as well. But let's start off with our senior spotlight coming up around the corner with YLE Delorme. But here's our one-on-one conversation with Dustin Brodina from Devils Lake Firebirds. Joining us now from the Devils Lake Firebirds, he's the head boys basketball coach. That is Dustin Brodina as they bring home a state championship after winning at the Fargo Dome over the weekend against the Kindred Vikings. And Dustin, before we talk about the championship, there's even more news to talk about on the Devils Lake boys basketball program with your senior in YLE Delorme. We'll talk about that first before we recap the championship a little bit here. YLE Delorme heading to the University of Mary coming up in the fall to continue his basketball career. But what does it mean for the program this season to have YLE as a Mr. Basketball finalist from the head coach's perspective here, Dustin?
Yeah, no, it feels great. I'm super proud of him. It's nice to show that his hard work, determination, dedication, all the off-season stuff that he's been doing, ever since he's been a third grader, fourth grader, fifth grader, all that off-season stuff, travel basketball. It's really nice to see that it's paying off and he's getting some recognition for it.
And the one thing that YLE kind of brought to the program this year, he had 5 seniors, but what was something, because a lot of people are going to say if they went to the state tournament, they saw him hit 4 threes against Valley City in that first quarter, and everybody was like, all right, this guy can shoot if you haven't, seen YLE before. But outside of his ability to attack the rim, ability to score, what else did he provide to the program this year here, Dustin?
Well, the thing that YLE brings is one thing that we probably stressed even more was his ability to be the best team player, and a leader, and that's the reason we won state championship. That X factor of when times are tough, and your back is against the wall, who's going to step up, and not to the point where he feels like he has to do it himself as well, because his numbers aren't the best. They're not the top as far as, you look at that Mr. Basketball finalist, but he's the only state champion on that list. So the understanding that, I can't do this myself and I won't be able to do it myself, and I got to be the best team player. And we stress that all year, but there's times when, we got to find that fine line where he needs to step up, and that he is our guy that we're going to lean on, but also you're going to get double teamed. You're going to get triple teamed, and when you dribble drive and you can attack the rim, and then our guys got to trust in him as well that, that ball's going to come back to you, and you're going to hit that shot. And another thing that he's done really well is not only just focusing on putting the ball in the basket, but his rebounding ability and his defensive ability, especially the second half of the part of the year, was that's something that's going to carry him to that next level.
A lot of fun memories, obviously, here within the last 48 hours with obviously YLE getting named Mr. Basketball on Monday, then winning a state championship on Saturday here, Dustin. So after you kind of were able to cut down the nets, head back to Devils Lake for the girls, rally a little bit, honoring them on Sunday night. When were you able to just kind of sit down and say, did this just happen in the last 3 to 4 weeks on the girls with your daughter, the boys with your sons, with the Devils Lake community, obviously just having a really banner year in basketball? Right. Were you able to just kind of go, a little bit?
Yeah. It was probably Sunday night. It was short. After their little pep rally, we were actually able to sit down, had a nice steak dinner. It was awesome. It was a good family dinner. I really appreciate it and thankful because that doesn't happen very often. That night. And then, yesterday afternoon, I got off work and I went home and I didn't have anything else to do. It was just kind of nice and relaxing. So it's been, I'm sure it'll take some more time before we actually realize how special this whole run has been. And so it's been great, and we'll still appreciate it for a while.
What is a trait or characteristic now that you're a couple of days removed, whether it's from the state tournament, whether it's from the region tournament, whether it's just from the season in general, if you go back to November to where we are now here, Dustin, what's a trait or characteristic that best describes this version of Devils Lake boys basketball?
I think the best trait was trust, and that trust in each other. The losses that we had, and you learn so much from losses, and especially our last loss that we had was to Grafton, and being able to trust in each other, and especially with Wylee, and being able to when that back is against the wall, to trust in each other, and that when we're going to have hard times again, we're going to play tough teams, and how are we going to respond? And that was, I think, the best trait, and then their desire to win, their grit, the determination, the desire to win is second to none. These guys compete and practice every single day, and they don't want to lose, and that's a hard trait to acquire, and what it takes to win. So day after day in practice, we stress it every single day just to compete at the highest level, and do the little things, the grit, determination, loose balls. So that's kind of the way I would define this team, as that trust and desire to win.
The one thing, Dustin, I know you've probably been asked a ton, was it easier as a coach or was it easier as a parent, right? Because on the girls' side, you are the parent, but on the boys' side, you kind of wear that double hat as a coach and as well as a dad. So what was tougher? What was easier, being in Minot, kind of sitting in the stands a little bit, just seeing what Devils Lake girls and your daughter was able to do? Or was it easier or tougher being on the sideline, being a coach and a parent at that same time, Dustin?
Right. The parent part, I think, was a little easier, because I have a lot of trust in the coaching staff and what those girls were doing, and trust in my daughter. And I told her this, and I texted her this the morning of that state championship. I said, nobody's more prepared than you are for this moment. All the Sunday mornings, all the early morning workouts, when you're in the gym by yourself, nobody else is looking, you're prepared for this. So I knew she was going to play hard. She was going to play it hard, and those girls were going to bring it. So that was pretty special as far as the parent part, and just sitting back. Don't get me wrong, I was extremely nervous sitting up in the stands. I was not very close to the floor. I was sitting about as far away as I could get, but just grateful for that opportunity for her. And then, when it comes to our guys, I'm coaching the guys and coaching my sons as well, but I would say nervous to the point where, you always second guess yourself. Did I prepare these guys? Did I prepare these guys for what they're going to endure, out on that court? And I didn't probably take that sigh of relief until maybe the bus ride home, that I felt pretty good of where we were at. You're still even the Friday night prepping into Saturday and watching game film, and what are we going to do? And and at that point, you really, we're either at where we're at or we're not, and felt pretty good about it. And the guys came out and responded really well.
The seniors that you had, 5 of them, with Drew, Wylee, Josh, Brett, and Bo as well. Just those 5 in general, Dustin, what have they meant to the program? And I'll just kind of leave it for you wherever you want to take it, because I know we could probably be here for an hour talking about those seniors in general. But what did those 5 guys just provide this season and to the program in general?
Yeah, leadership and just leading by example is those guys for sure. This is my first group, when I started traveling at 3rd grade, and they've been with me, and then when I come to head coach, they've been with me for 3 years, and having to listen to me every single practice, it gets a little monotonous, I would maybe say, for those guys, but their leadership and to show those underclassmen to come to practice every day, and to just keep grinding, and maybe what you want to say, trust the process. I don't know the exact process of what it is to get to a state championship and what we need to do, but I felt comfortable that we were close, and to show those younger classmen to come and compete every day. You take I'll just take Brett Mertens and Josh Deckard. Those are seniors that didn't play much, but they still brought it every single day in practice, regardless if they were going to get 2 minutes on the floor. And those guys, and Bo, take Bo and Drew, they don't get the accolades, they're not, they might put their 8 to 10 points a game, and not worried about being in the limelight, and they don't worry about being the star. Just accepting those roles as, maybe the top defender today, or we need you to get dribble drive and get some passes today. Accepting those roles is can sometimes be tough for kids, whether it is a bench player or, just a defender, defensive player. And just to show those younger guys that, hey, then when you guys step up there, that's going to be your job. We're going to need those guys to take those jobs. And, it's going to be tough losing those guys. Especially it's going to be bittersweet for me. That's also that one is my son, and so the first group that I've been with. It was hard. It was hard that last practice. I said, I'm never going to be in this sports center with you guys ever again. It's going to be hard. This is the last time that we're on the floor together, grinding it out, and it's pretty special. I don't know how many hours and time and practices I've spent with them, but I'm glad. I'm really glad for them and that they were able to come out on top.
Final thing for you, Dustin, before you let you go, this new 3-division, 3-class system, everybody was kind of curious on how it was going to work out after the first year. You could argue you were in the toughest region out of any of the 3 classes with just the quality of teams that were there night in and night out. And number 2, I know it maybe was a little bit different going from the EDCs of the world to playing a Four Winds who's right next door. And I don't need to say anything more about Four Winds Devil's Lake to get the blood boiling for people in that part of the world. But how did playing in the EDC, coming up ever so close to making a state tournament, last year in Class A, bringing that with you here into the region where it was a meat grinder every night to play a Region 2 competition? How did that from last year to the off season to a quality competition, ironing sharpens iron, so to speak? How did that help once you went to that postseason run, getting through the regional and getting to state here, Dustin?
Right. Yeah, last year, we were so close. We were one play away, and that fueled the boys' fire for sure. Not only that, but then the anticipation for coming into this system. And the fact that we didn't have to maybe compete with those top EDC teams, night in and night out. The EDC, in my opinion, it really prepares you even more because it's rigorous to travel, on a Tuesday and go play a tough team down in Fargo, whoever it is. They're all tough. And then turn around and try to do it again. That's tough. It's hard on the kids, and these kids are student athletes, so they still got to maintain the student part of it. So that can be challenging. And then now we're in the region or Class A, and the Region 2 is every night is tough. This is some of the best basketball, in the state right here. These teams would have competed definitely in the AA division, the Graftons, even the Thompson and Four Winds. Those guys were bringing it. And that definitely prepared us for the state tournament. Everybody can see that, we had a mini state tournament there in Mayville. The semifinal night was, exciting. And just coming out of that was going to be a challenge. Overall, the 3-class system has been great. There are some tweaks I think we'll have to make. One thing I really did not like was dropping from 36 to 32 minutes. The loss of playing time, and the quarters were challenging as well. Having to manage that, and it's a different flow of a game compared to that. That 20 or 18 minute halves. Where there ain't a lot of stops if you don't stop. So there's some challenges there that we were able to figure out. But it's been good. It's been good for our kids. And you talk about a Four Winds, just across town here, really for the most part, and having 2,500 fans there on a night, and it's pretty exciting.
Dustin, congratulations with everything again. Best of luck, obviously, as you move into the off season and kind of what you have in store moving forward here. But thanks so much, and enjoy another steak dinner hopefully this week.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, we will. We're fine dining all this week.
That again, the head coach for the Devils Lake Firebirds, Dustin Brodina, with us here on our Coaches Show.
live, work, and play here in Hillsboro, North Dakota. The Hillsboro Economic Development Committee can assist you with information and support for business and housing. Experience Hillsboro. More at 104.
Joining us now from Devil's Lake for our senior spotlight. He's a boys basketball state champ just a couple of days ago. That is YLE Delorme here for the Firebirds. And Wylee, before we talk about the state championship, let's go in chronological order. Monday night, you got found out that you were a Mr. Basketball finalist. So let's start there. What does it mean to be nominated as one of the best seniors in the state for that particular award here, in Mr. Basketball, Wylee?
I'm blessed to be in this position with this group of players. Going into the season, that was one of the goals, not the main goal, but I'm just very blessed to be recognized.
And you mentioned some of the goals. What were some of the goals entering the season from a team point of view? Obviously, this new 3 classes, this senior class that you had. Just take us through some of those goals before we recap, that state tournament at the Fargo Dome, Wylee.
Our main goal was to play in that Saturday night against whoever, that championship game, and winning it. Keep going.
No, and I was going to say, go ahead.
Obviously another one was our region, to win our region. We had a tough region coming into the year. We knew that. Winning it was another one. And I didn't really care about the individual unless we had team success.
Yeah, able to have the team success here. Let's kind of go through it. That region tournament kind of felt like a mini sub-state, if you will, with the quality of teams that you had going to Mayville State. So able to come out on top of that. How much momentum did that give you guys entering the Fargo Dome, with wins against, the teams like Grafton and Thompson and Hillsboro's, as you saw throughout the, quality of the year?
I feel like it gave us some momentum going into the tournament. We came into the tournament as the 2 seed, and we knew that we had a belt on our back because we knew Grafton was going to be even hungrier after losing the tournament, being the number 1 seed. And just going into the tournament, we just knew we had to use each other as a team with that motivation, but we weren't done yet, I should say.
Yeah, able to go through Valley City, Grafton, and Kindred in that championship game. What allowed you guys to get over the hill, if you will, and win that state championship against the Kindred Vikings on, that Saturday night, Wylee? What did you see from your team for those, 4 quarters of basketball?
Well, going into the game, Dustin said defense wins championships, and he praised that throughout the whole tournament, through every single game. And if we didn't play defense, we weren't going to win. We had to play major defense to limit teams from scoring. We did that in the championship game, and now we're champions.
What was it like once the buzzer kind of went to 0, knowing that you were a state champ, knowing that you were going back to Devil's Lake, to honor the girls' side, what they did a couple weeks prior? Now you'll have your own pep rally here as well. But what was it like? Take us through that hour-ish after the horn sounded. You get photos, you get to, get hugs and high fives from the fan base that comes down the court. What was that emotion and feeling like, Wylee?
Everything was sort of sinking in. Like, I just played my last high school basketball game, and becoming a champion, I'd never thought of that coming into my freshman year, that I was going to be a state champion. And now that it's actually done, I'm just so happy. I don't know. My emotions were everywhere after the game. I was happy. I was sad. I don't know. Everything just came at me so fast, and it was so unsuspected.
A trait or characteristic that best describes this year's Devils Lake Firebirds, what kind of comes to mind when you think about this year's squad to win a state championship here, Wylee? What's a trait or characteristic that best describes this year's version of Devils Lake boys basketball?
Grit. Dustin, coming into the season, Dustin wanted us to do the little things, like get out rebound people, go for loose balls, help each other up. Just don't be negative in general. And using that, if we use all of that, we're going to be a successful team. And if it wasn't, we weren't going to be anything.
and able to do this with your fellow seniors, with Drew, with Josh, with Bo and Brett. What is that like to go out as a champ, as a senior with your respective senior class here, Wylee?
We've been with each other for so long, so winning it with these guys just means so much to me. Like, we've been through the ups, we went through the downs, and coming out a champion with them just feels so good.
Heading to the University of Mary, you're not done playing basketball yet, done in high school, but not, at the collegiate rank. So what made the University of Mary just kind of be the right fit for you here, Wylee, moving forward to your next chapter in basketball?
The coaching staff really brought me to the school, and I know the town of Bismarck really well. I have some family down there, and just what they've told me, and that I could be the best, I could grow into the best basketball player that I can be over there, just brought me over there. And the academic too.
For sure. Favorite moment to this point, Wylee, is it winning the state title? Is there something as a third of, sixth grade travel ball memory that comes to mind? When you think of basketball, what's one or two memories that kind of come to mind for you here, Wylee?
I got a couple medals behind me. It's probably winning the pace setter in I think it was fourth grade. I think that was my first ever tournament, big tournament that I've won. And we were one game short of going to Minneapolis, but we lost to Thompson. But still good memory.
And from that standpoint, is there something that you wish to kind of pass down to the next generation that's, 13, 14 years old, chomping at the bit, wanting to be, at the varsity program? What would be some words of advice or wisdom that you kind of went through your particular journey, Wylee, that you would like to kind of pass down to the next group of kids that are coming up through the system?
Stay positive, even through the downs. If you're losing and you have a losing season, just stay positive, and Dustin's going to make you work hard either way. And if you stay positive and work hard, good things will come.
Final thing for you, Wylee. How much did, last year you guys were so close, right, of making a state tournament in the EDC, but able to come through? How much fire did that build for you guys from last year? And then also in arguably the toughest region, whether it's A, B, or AA this year, in terms of the quality of competition that you had every night, how much did kind of the old adage of iron sharpening iron help you guys this season, get to the Fargo Dome and win a state championship?
Well, losing that state qualifier game just heated us. We were so mad after. We worked that year so hard. Not making the state, we were motivated to coming into next year. We're gonna do it. We gotta work in the off season together. We gotta do everything together. And now that we got moved down to the next class A, we knew we had a shot at winning the state title. And if we just worked hard, listen to Dustin, we were going to do it.
Wylee, congratulations on all your success. Best of luck moving forward at the University of Mary, and congrats again on winning a state title and being a Mr. Basketball finalist.
Thank you, sir.
Hey growers, when working on your water management solutions, call Chad's Excavating out of Mayville. They are your water management contractor, helping you with tile drainage plans, service drainage plans, or both. Remember, water management is a lifetime investment. Call Chad 701-430-0182 to get your water problem solved. For more information, follow Chad's Excavating on Facebook. For tile drainage and service plans, call 701-430-0182. Chad's Excavating out of Mayville, helping farmers grow.
Do you want that new boat? Are you building onto your home? Maybe you want the new camper or ATV. Dakota Heritage Bank can help you. This is Dustin Nagel, President at Dakota Heritage Bank Hillsboro location. You can visit with me or our other loan officers to help with loans and lines of credit from Dakota Heritage Bank. We are serving you with locations in North Dakota and Northwest Minnesota. Dakota Heritage Bank offers financial services you expect with a local perspective. dhbanknd.com. Dakota Heritage Bank, Equal Housing Lender, member FDIC.
There's more at 104. Hillsboro, North Dakota has everything you need on your next road trip. Food, fuel, fun, and family-friendly activities. Stop by and fill up your tank or grab a bite to eat. Have a blast at Goose River Golf Club, the swimming pool, or one of our beautiful parks. There's even ice skating and cross-country skiing. Take in the sights or stay the night so you don't miss a thing. Experience Hillsboro and see why there's more at 104.
On the Coaches Show here, it's a special interview, special segment of the Your Live Event Coaches Show. We have a coach here, but not for athletics, for fine arts, for speech. We're going to do our first ever Your Live Event speech broadcast. It's going to be super fun here at the Hillsboro High School, joined by the Hillsboro speech head coach, Rachel Fenner. And Rachel, I feel like speech, growing up as a speech kid myself, is kind of one of those events, one of those activities that is kind of secluded. It's hidden. It's, not a lot of people know about it. When people ask me questions all the time, they go, well, how do you watch speech? So kind of explain to maybe the average person, or to those that are watching that maybe aren't aware that you can watch speech and you can interact as a fan, kind of how that works.
Yeah, so for speech, you would come to a meet. It'd be on a Saturday, and you would come and you'd sit. You grab a schedule, first of all, and you'd find which event you want to watch. And each of those events is scheduled at a certain time. And you'd find the event and the time. You'd find which classroom it is taking place in and sit in there. And first of all, you'd want to make sure you get the judge's permission before you decide to sit and watch the round. Especially for certain rounds like radio and the smaller events that are less often watched. And you would then get the judge's permission, and you'd sit down and you'd watch some speech from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, you mentioned some of the categories. Now, I don't think the average person, unless you're in speech, can name off all 14 categories here in the state of North Dakota. But a coach should be able to. Let's see if we can name all 14.
Okay, let's think extemporaneous speaking, entertain, persuade, inform, radio, extemporaneous program reading. I said entertain. And then I'm trying to get through the ones that are not interp events before I go there. And then for sure, humorous interp, poetry, original oratory. Is that inform?
That would be like persuade, I think.
That's persuade. And then we've got, I said poetry, and then we've got dramatic interp, and then serious prose, humorous duo, serious duo, storytelling, I think I forgot. And I think we're missing one more.
I don't know. I think maybe impromptu. I don't know if we...
I don't think I said impromptu.
Yeah. So there are 14 events in speech in the state of North Dakota. Each state is different. So Minnesota has different events. South Dakota has different events. And it's all in different ways. But Rachel, kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been coaching speech, and what makes you want to continue to be a speech coach.
Yeah. So I did speech all through growing up. So I really loved speech growing up. That was my favorite activity to do. But then I also have been coaching here. This will be my third year now. And I really love it. I love these kids so much. Like, they are what make me want to keep doing this more than anything. I think more than anything, it's just these kids that make me encouraged to come back every day.
And tell me a little bit about your team this year, kind of how many kids you have and some of the events that they have performed in this year.
Yeah, so we've got a good sized team this year. We've got about 13 kids. And we've got a really young team this year. We've got about 4 8th graders and 4 9th graders. So that is a pretty hefty chunk down on the younger end of the team. But we have had a lot of kids in serious duo this year. Serious duo is a big one. And then we've got a couple humorous duos this year, a few poetries, a serious prose. We even have a radio kid this year for the first time ever. Yes, radio. And then we also have obviously humorous interp kids, which is every year. And then we've got, I think it's mostly just interp events other than that.
So we may not be able to see a lot of your kids, unfortunately, because, of course, for our viewers out there, they are wondering, well, how do you broadcast speech? So, of course, there's this fun thing called the FCC, and a lot of these interp events take from books and plays and short stories, and we cannot broadcast those, unfortunately, but we can broadcast the original speeches, things like inform, persuade, impromptu, and extemporaneous speaking, which we'll be able to judge on Saturday. And of course, Rachel, it's going to be the first time that Hillsboro's hosted a speech meet. How huge is this for a speech program?
So it's a pretty big deal. I mean, it is a really good source of fundraising, just to put money back into the program. But also more than that, it is just a good team building event, I think, and also just something that really gets the parents involved too. A great way for their community to see what speech is. So, yeah.
And kind of, I know when we talk to coaches, we'll talk about the regular season and then the playoffs and such. And it's kind of similar, but it's a much longer season than it kind of spans over, two sports seasons really, with the winter and the spring.
Yes. Yeah, so it goes straight from January all the way through April. So it is not a short season by any means. Yeah.
And, of course, there are regular season meets. Kind of for those that may be watching for the first time, we won't be able to show kind of the fullness of the meet, but kind of describe a typical meet during the regular season, if you want to call it.
Yeah, so our regular season meet would be, we would get there around 8 a.m., and we would check in, or I guess I would check in, and the kids would head to the commons areas. And a lot of them, thankfully, have been to a lot of these schools already, so they kind of know where they're going. And then we have the schedules they grab, and they'll get those and find which rooms and their codes and everything good like that. And then from there, they check what time their round starts and start heading to their rounds right away in the mornings.
And, of course, for typical events, there are usually preliminary rounds and then a final round. And then, of course, you have the top finishers, if you will. And then after the regular season, at least for Class B, there is, I believe, a regional tournament. And they kind of explained how that works and who goes to state.
Yeah, so at regionals, it's really nice because a few more than normal can qualify, depending on how many kids are in each of the events. So the heavier events are typically the interps. So if we have a lot of interps, I think it can be up to 3 or more kids can qualify for regionals, or at regionals, I guess. And typically that is where we do get a lot of our state qualifications. Is at regionals, because there are just a lot more kids that can qualify at that rate.
Now, unlike athletics, students actually have the opportunity to qualify for the state meet during a regular season game. Almost like if a basketball team won a regular season game that meant a lot, they go to state. But it kind of works a little bit differently for speech. Yes.
So for speech, any meet, first place, as long as there are enough kids in that event that day, is a state qualifying event. So at most any meet of the season, as long as the numbers are there for state qualifying, as long as the kid gets first place, they are state qualified and can head to state from the first meet of the season if it happens. So,
do you have any state qualifiers yet this year?
Unfortunately not yet, but we're really hoping either at our meet or Park River or regionals that we can get a couple.
Awesome. And just kind of remind us when the regional tournament is for Hillsboro and when the state meet is.
So our regional is in Northwood. I believe it is the 13th of April. And then I think state is the last weekend in April or the weekend before that, maybe.
And that usually is, I think, in Mandan or.
It's almost every single year. It is in Mandan at Mandan High School. So.
Rachel, a lot of great things coming up here this weekend. Again, we'll have a couple preliminary rounds, it looks like, for impromptu and extemporaneous speaking, and then we'll have the final rounds of inform and persuade here on yourliveevent.com. Rachel, anything else you want to mention about the meet this upcoming Saturday or in Hillsboro speech?
I mean, if you want to, feel free. Come on, watch some interp events. They're really interesting. They're kind of like plays, but shorter. And yeah, we'd love to have you.
And I don't believe there's an admission fee to come watch?
No admission, all free.
Absolutely free. There's some good concessions always, too. And again, I know you guys are looking for judges as well, and you don't have to have necessarily experience. You don't have to have done this in high school.
No. So for judging, you literally just have to take a test that is unfailable. So you can take the questions as many times as you need to until you get it right. But yeah, we'd love to have any more judges. Anybody interested, feel free to get in contact with me, and I can absolutely help you with that sign-up process.
Again, lots of different categories. If you're in the business world, if you maybe did some theater in school, if you just love to read books and love to enjoy stories, or you just love to see kids and hear the next generation kids speak. Great opportunity to get involved. I know I've got a lot of benefit from it, and you'll see it here on yourliveevent.com. That's Rachel Fenner. She's the head speech coach at Hillsboro. And one final question, why don't you mention some of the teams that will be in attendance at Saturday's meet?
Yeah, so we have Park River is one of them that'll be here. Grafton will be here. We'll have Horace, West Fargo High School, and Thompson will be here, North Border, and I believe I'm missing a few, but those are just a few of the schools that'll be here, so...
Good stuff again. Rachel Fenner, head high school speech coach on our Your Live Event Coaches Show. Rachel, thanks for the time, and best of luck on Saturday.
Thank you so much.
On the Coaches Show here, we are talking NAIA women's basketball, and Mayville State University is off to the Sweet 16 coming up this week in Iowa. I'm joined by the head coach of the Mayville State women's basketball team, and Dennis Hutter. And Coach, let's first of all, congratulations again on you and your team reaching the final 16. Let's go back to your pod games that you had last week in Salina, Kansas. Just before we get into the individual games, your thoughts kind of on the atmosphere and kind of that aspect of the tournament.
Yeah, matter of fact, I just sent an email yesterday to the tournament committee. I thought it went really well as far as the organization and the administration and executing of the tournament. You know, when you're an outsider or you're a participant, you kind of don't see what's happening behind the scenes, and things seem to be going well. It's obviously a good tournament. I thought from that aspect, it went really well. We had great support. I mean, we always do have great support. We travel well. A lot of family, moms, dads, brothers, sisters, grandmas, grandpas, aunts, uncles, cousins. I mean, we do draw very well. So we had a real good contingency of people there, which actually made it feel like a home game when we played that second game on Saturday afternoon. So great support, great atmosphere. I thought the tournament was well ran, great facilities, and it was an all around really good experience for our team.
Absolutely. And you ladies were the top seed in that pool, if you want to call it, number 4 seed in your particular region. Let's go back through the games. Your first game was a little bit of a tight one there at the beginning, especially against Freed Hardman out of Tennessee, I believe. Your team trailed by 1 at the break, but you had a big third quarter. What was the shift to get the ladies back on track?
Well, we got off to a quick start. I think we were up 12-5 or something to start the game off, and then we just kind of offensively drifted away from the stuff that had gotten us the lead, shot selection a little bit, played a little bit fast, a little bit too fast for us, actually. We really didn't say a lot at halftime. We just kind of re-emphasized the game plan and kind of made a few very, very, very minor tweaks to what we were doing defensively. We just told the kids to just relax, continue to play the way we're capable of playing. We made a few of those minor adjustments. And then we went out in that first 5 minutes of the third quarter. I think we really started to just kind of relax and go play. We took care of the ball. We got higher quality shots, which led to obviously more baskets. And then once our team started seeing the ball go through the basket, I mean, we're a very good shooting team. We take great pride in how we put the ball in the basket. Once that started happening, I looked up and 5 minutes left to go to the third quarter, we're up by 13 all of a sudden. And so we went from down 1 up 13. And during that whole stretch, not just putting the ball in the basket, but getting stops, at the other end of the floor, getting them to shoot what we call tough twos, rebounding, only giving up one shot, really kind of turned the tide. That first 5 minutes of the third quarter really set the tone. And then Jordan basically took over the last 5 minutes of the game and really, really exerted herself in the fourth quarter of that game.
And of course, you shift from that. You mentioned Jordan. She had a fantastic game, and I think the LSU Shreveport team picked up on that, keyed in on her. But seemed like a pretty. The rest of the team kind of came and supported in a good 86-65 win to get you to the final 16. You're tied at 6 at the beginning and went on an 8-0 run, and seemed like your ladies could not be caught from that point on.
Yeah, Jordan, I think she only had 2 points at halftime, to be honest with you. But Aaron Walker came out, had 2 big threes to start the game off. She picks up 2 fouls. We got to sit her. We put Alex Page in. She then proceeds to go, 3 for 3, I believe, in the first quarter as well behind the arc. Those are 2 post players, and they were 5 for 5 from behind the arc. So while Jordan is kind of the basically the straw that stirs our drink, more or less, she's not the only option we have on this team, and that's the great part about this team is we've got other players that can put the ball in the basket, and Aaron and Alex really stepped up big in the first half and kind of carried our team. We had 45 points at halftime, and Jordan had 2 of them. So it tells you that this team is capable of putting the ball in the basket outside of Jordan. But in the second half, Jordan kind of showed you, in my opinion, why she's a first-team All-American and Conference Player of the Year. She basically – in the third and fourth quarter, just kind of put the team on her back offensively, because we knew when they went back to man, they couldn't guard us. And she's the one kid they were going to struggle with, and she really exploited them defensively, and obviously shot up. I think she finished with 24 points, with 22 of them coming in the second half.
Of course, we're talking about Jordan Zrust. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, but one of your star players, of course, for Mayville State. Lots of local talent as well. We talked about that earlier this season, and I got to feel like it's pretty exciting for a historically good program in Mayville State to once again get back to the NAIA Sweet 16.
Well, it's always a good feeling when you're winning this time of year, obviously, and when you get to go to a national tournament, that obviously feels very good. When you get to go to a Sweet 16, that feels very good. When you're kind of mentioned with the top 16 teams in the country in your level, that's quite an accomplishment, and you should feel good about that. And the kids have put in a lot of time. There's a lot of work that's not seen that these kids put in, shooting extra, watching film, lifting weights, all the things that we know a lot of athletes do that people just don't see, that allow them to have the success that they've been lucky enough to have. And one of the things that we've talked about in this run here, well, kind of 2 things, is number one, enjoy it. Let's make sure we be where our feet are a little bit. Let's enjoy this ride that we're on right now, and don't take it for granted. And what we talk about is, like, don't skip a step in the process. If you've been shooting well because you've been getting in the gym, then go get in the gym. If you've been rehabbing well and an ice bath is what works, and go take an ice bath. Don't skip any part of the process that goes into getting us to where we are. So let's enjoy where we are, but let's respect where we are and continue to do the things that we've been doing. A lot of work that's gone into it. This is a great group of young ladies. They really are. They represent their families, our program, this university on the highest of highest levels every night when they step on the floor. Their character shines. They play with great class. They play extremely hard, and they're just a really, really fun group of young ladies to be around.
And again, you mentioned the journey continues, and you have a familiar face in your Sweet 16 matchup in the Dork Defenders out of Northwest Iowa. Historically excellent program themselves, with some great local talent on the Iowa side themselves. And you ladies met earlier this season, and their name's the Defenders, but it seemed like the offense, they kind of outshot you guys, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, Bill Hermsen, their head coach, does a great job with their program. This will be the 3rd time that we'll have met basically in a calendar year, and I'm getting a little sick of seeing them, considering they're not in our league. I mean, it's but again, they've been predominantly the number one team in the country the bulk of the year. They unfortunately had a couple of injuries here late that has hurt their team a little bit, and that's why they've kind of dropped off that number one spot. But they are still a very, very good team who is continually at this point of the season every year. They're into the Sweet 16. They've got really good players. They play extremely physical. They play very hard. They're great defensively. They're well coached. It's going to be a heck of a challenge for us, but I know our kids are looking for an opportunity to maybe take it and run with it, and kind of hopefully third time's a charm for us.
And interestingly of note, to looking at the trends, you teams have met 5 times since 2006, and Mayville State's undefeated in North Dakota, but Dort is undefeated in Iowa, kind of almost like a brick wall that you guys got to get past.
Yeah, and and like we've been telling everybody now when you get to this point is good. Every team is good. You have to show up, you have to play, you have to do the things that got you here. For us, that's number one. We got to play hard. All right, we got to compete, and then we've got to defend. I mean, we're going to have to defend them. So when you get to this level, the scores usually drop a little bit as far as points go, and the games get a lot tighter. And when it happens, that usually means that you've got to defend. So hopefully we can defend and play well and stick the ball in the basket, and hopefully things will go well for us on Friday night.
Sioux City is the host for this particular tournament. It seems to be, always has been. Your thoughts on the road trip that's coming up and going back down there?
Number one, Sioux City puts on a heck of a show. This is top notch. I mean, we went there. The last time we've been there was 1920, but there were 32 teams there when we went there before, and they did a phenomenal job with that. I can only imagine with 16 there, it's got to be even more of a big deal. Sioux City really rolls out the red carpet for the NAI teams that come for this weekend, really, really make this a big deal. So it's going to be a great experience for our players, and probably something that they're obviously never going to forget. And that's what we've kind of been talking to them about. When you talk about the road trip, it's like, you're not going to remember a lot about the games. You're not. You're going to remember if you won or lost, but you're going to remember things like when the clock hit 0, you're going to remember that. You're going to remember the bus trips. You're going to remember the hotel rooms, the pregame meals at the restaurants. All that stuff is the stuff you're going to remember. So we want to make sure that while we're road tripping down there, we want to make sure we enjoy it. And then, like we told them, when we get down there and it's time to go to work and it's time to put on our business hat, we'll put on our business hat and go to work. But when it's time to relax and enjoy the experience, we're certainly going to do that as well.
Game is Friday night at 6 p.m. Let us know how Mayville State fans can catch you guys if they can't go down to Sioux City themselves.
Yeah, I'm sure you can go to our website. I don't think there's anything out quite yet. I know the games will be streamed. I believe it's on the NAI network. I'm not exactly sure how you would get there, but I know that our SID office will be putting out some links and things like that as we get closer to the game. So if you go to our website, msucommets.com, and check in there, I'm sure our SID is going to put a link out that will kind of lead everybody right directly to where the live streams are.
Coach, anything else you want to mention here as we get to really the most exciting time of the year, March Madness?
No, it's been a fun ride. I'm very happy for these players. They deserve everything that they've achieved and hopefully everything that they're going to achieve. The support that we have received has been absolutely phenomenal. I've just never been a part of a team here at Mayville State that has received this much support, not just from Mayville State, but from around the region as well. We're honored to represent Mayville State. We're excited to go play, and it's too bad we got to wait till Friday. I think they're ready to play right now, but no, it's been a fun ride, and we're excited to continue it on Friday.
Absolutely. A couple of other notes I want to mention before we close the interview. Of course, a heck of a run for another North Dakota team. University of Jamestown is also in the field in the Final 16. So nice to see 2 North Dakota schools get represented and a lot of other regional representation. And your only 2 losses, or I should say only 3 losses this year, have come from, we mentioned Dort, and the other team, Dakota State, is also in the round of 16. So a quality season, and that's the head coach of the Mayville State women's basketball team in Dennis Hutter. Dennis, thanks for the time, as always, and best of luck this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thanks, James.
College goes far beyond the buildings, classrooms, and the tests. It's about making new friends, trying something different, and discovering your purpose. It's about getting involved, supporting your community, and joining the conversation. It's about learning, growing, and finding your passion. This is not your average classroom. This is the University of Minnesota Crookston.
Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9 in Ada, invites you to order your new Chevrolet vehicles. From the Silverado, Trailblazer, and Traverse, Lee Brothers is your authorized Chevrolet dealer, providing sales and service to the area since 1975. For ordering your vehicles, talk with Mitch Smurfer J. Trust the experts who know your vehicles best and take advantage of great Chevy certified service offers today. Lee Brothers Sales, Highway 9, Ada. Call 218-784-2000.
I'm Tylee Johnson. I'm confident in the arena. And when it's time for college, I'm confident Bank of North Dakota will help me make good student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident.
I'm Lily Bell. I'm confident on the court, and when it's time for college, I'm confident Bank of North Dakota will help me make good student loan decisions. Visit bnd.nd.gov/confident.
Treat yourself to a great career at American Crystal Sugar Company. Team up with quality people making quality products. Full-time and year-round in a stable business. With great pay and benefits including time off available from day one. American Crystal Sugar Company invests in you to promote your continued growth and career advancement. Grow your career doing your best work within the world's best beet sugar company. Apply online today at AmericanCrystalCareers.com.
An opportunity to recap the season with the head coach of the Perham Yellow Jackets, TJ Super, girls basketball head coach, 8 AA champs. And coach, I know that the state tournament did not go the way you had hoped. We got a little chance to talk off the air about this. This season, this team was a special squad and lived to be in that top 8 conversation in the state tournament. And Drew Providence Academy, a team that you've played last year. You've played the big dogs over the years. What an opportunity! I know. Questions, we always wonder how things go with the seed. Your girls were ready and didn't matter. You were ready to play whoever you had.
Yeah, we won't beat around the bush. We thought we were a top 5 seed for sure. Over the last, 2 seasons, we played Providence, we played Minnehaha, we played Albany, New London Spicer now twice, Crosby, Ironton. We've played the best teams in the state. I think we ended up playing like 8 to 9 games against state-ranked teams this year. We put together a schedule that we thought was going to get us a seed if we had a good year and we thought we deserved it. But sometimes people overlook teams from out of state a little bit. And so whatever, we felt like we didn't get the right draw. But once we got that, we knew what we had to do. And we, like you said, we had already played Providence and we learned a lot of stuff last year. And so we put together a game plan that we thought could beat them. And from Saturday morning until Wednesday night, everything we talked about was about believing, and the girls bought into the game plan, and we had a really good game. I think we put on a show, basically. I think most of the teams anyone in the state that watched our quarterfinal game was not disappointed that they stuck around to watch it.
It was an incredible game. I know people that, you read reports from the game, and this was a state championship style game, and it was, and you had 2 standout players on a game. We know that there's 10 on the floor, 5 for each team. Madden Greenway for Providence Academy in her right was certainly impressive. Willow Thiel from the Perham Yellow Jackets, an all-state player, certainly lived up to that, and she turned a lot of heads for those who had not heard of Willow Thiel.
Yeah, and it's kind of insane to me that no one has heard of, if there's someone that hasn't heard of Willow Thiel. We had a prominent basketball reporter that said, this is the first time I've ever seen her play. And what she has done, her season this year that she put together is the 20th best scoring season in the history of Minnesota basketball. She shot the 7th most free throws that anyone has ever shot in a season this past year, and last year was the 9th. She is an absolute force to reckon with, and I consider her to be the best post scorer in the entire state. But she has been overlooked her whole career, and after that game, there's 6 D1 coaches reaching out, asking about her. And it's like, well, where were you? But that's kind of the recognition that we get sometimes, or the lack of recognition. And but all that being said, we went down there with a game plan. The girls bought into it. And, Madden Greenway is probably one of the best players in the state. And it took her to have probably one of her best games of her entire career. to beat us because we turned her into a jump shooter. We wanted to keep her away from the basket, and we did a really good job of that. And she made a lot of really difficult shots. And so you have to tip your hat to a girl that does that. But, she also shot 21 free throws, and, Willow shot a bunch too, but we thought that, the fact that we had 16 fouls called against us in the second half and they had 5, really helped kind of determine and dictate the end of that game. We thought Willow got fouled multiple times down the stretch that they kind of didn't call. And we thought that the game could have gone a different way, that we literally could have won that game. But, we did. We had Willow was amazing, but we had 5 girls out on the court always that believed we could win and that were trying to execute a game plan, and they did a really good job. We just kind of got beat by a better team that night.
It was wild, and Providence Academy ends up winning the state AA title, and against a good squad from Albany. I mean, again, so we talked about it after the 8AA title game. It's star-studded. AA girls basketball is very, very impressive. Your team should be proud, no doubt. You go into the consolations, and were the kids spent after that first day?
Yeah, I mean, and there's no blame to it. I mean, from coming Friday night, we win the section to repeat. We beat everyone in double digits. We were we kind of had a goal of, dominating the section. And I thought we did a great job of that. We thought we had deserved a seed, and we knew we were on the cusp of getting seeded or not. And then to not get seeded was a letdown. And then to get Providence Academy is a very emotional, heavy thing. I think the girls believe that we could win, but they've won the state 3 years in a row, and everyone has seen the way they play. And that you're just fighting an uphill battle. And so every moment from Saturday until Wednesday night was about believing in this concept that we could pull off one of the greatest upsets in Minnesota State basketball history. And then to get to that point with 3 minutes to go, less than 3 minutes, and we're down by 3, and we're playing them, possession for possession, and then to end up just a little bit short, it's just emotionally draining. I'll admit, it's just the emotions of it. I woke up the next morning myself and I had a little cry. We were so close to being there. And so for me to feel that, I can't imagine what a bunch of our high school girls felt. And you could feel it the next day, just the emotional drainage. We just weren't locked in like we had been all year. We had a plan of what we wanted, and we weren't able to achieve it. And it would have been nice to come back and win those next couple of games, but I have no fault to the girls at all because it was emotionally draining.
A season that certainly will be remembered for a lot of good things, including a great effort in what a lot of people were saying was like a state title game in the quarterfinals. You have all-state team individuals that got recognized this year for their season, and it's a historic season. Willow Thiel goes and now is the all-time leading scorer for Perham basketball. Period. That's huge. But she's a huge piece. You have others that certainly help make this team a whole.
Yeah, our 4 seniors are, and I've said this multiple times, they're MVPs in what they do. Kaya Starzl came off the bench and did whatever we needed all the time. She guarded the best girl. She'd be the best help defender. She's a great talker out there. She didn't shoot a lot of shots, but when she was open, she'd shoot a 3. She did whatever we asked. Kennedy Pilgrim was amazing, just unbelievable. The last month of the season, especially, her game just kind of took it to another level. She had 3s. She was a great passer. In the Providence game, she was 6 for 7 shooting, 15 points, 8 assists, doing whatever it takes basically to win. Also, Riley Mickelson, I don't think anyone's ever seen a 5'2" girl with be as much of a force as she is out there. She is just an absolute freak of nature. I've never seen a player do what she does. She's our second leading rebounder. She gets steals. She was 19th, I think, in the state in assists. She's just an absolute beast out there, being 5'2". And so all 4 of our seniors are going to leave just gaping holes in our program. But they've also built the program to a point where they're motivating younger girls. And so even though they're going to be leaving these gaping holes, the girls that are going to fill them in are going to be motivated by what these seniors have done.
and a great program to come up. And certainly there are some great things coming down the pipe too. And so it's a good time to be a Perham Yellow Jacket girls basketball player.
Yeah, I mean, we have 4 girls that played a lot for us this year. Cora Grismer was All-State, honorable mention. Kaya Anderson was first team All-Conference, and I think she was like 19th or 20th in the state and made threes, and she shot it at like 45%. And for any other program or most other programs in the state, she would have got a lot more shots. But, when you have a girl that's averaging 30 and what Willow did in playoffs was she averaged 36 and over 15 rebounds. I mean, so some of these younger girls just didn't get as many opportunities as maybe other teams would provide. But like Kaya and Cora are going to be amazing next year. They're going to lead us really well. And we have a couple of big girls like Kate Diggins and Greta Razor who are athletic and big and strong. And so those 4 are going to be a huge core. And then we have a lot of young girls that are coming up that are good. And then when you look at our elementary girls are at our games and they are looking at their heroes every single night. And so what this team did more than almost anything else is inspire. And when our program is good for the next 10, 12, 15 years, we're going to look at the 23-24 season as a major mark of that.
No doubt about it. TJ, I want to say thank you again for the time. Very much appreciate the opportunity to talk Perham Yellow Jacket basketball. We'll certainly do more of this next year, too, just to keep things involved because it's been a lot of fun seeing the program grow and continued growth. And then, of course, whenever you get to, be in the same conversation as a Guy Finstrom there at Climax Fisher girls basketball, too, just, bringing up one of your heroes. We have to talk about Guy when we get together. It's what we do.
Well, Guy Finstrom's a great example of what we're doing here. He was my baseball coach in college. And, he's just a great guy. And that's kind of what we're trying to do. We're trying to motivate. We're trying to make connections. And Guy Finstrom is one of the people that did it really well. And that's kind of what, one of my goals is that we're winning a lot of games and we're doing a lot of good stuff on the basketball court. But in the end, we're just trying to really, trying to get out of here really good people. We want good girls leaving the program and making an impact out in society. And I know that the girls that are leaving this year are going to do it, but we want to keep it going for years.
TJ Super, head coach, Perham Yellow Jacket girls basketball. TJ, thanks for the time. Congrats on a fantastic season.
Thank you.
Hey, we're happy to have one final conversation with Fosston Greyhound girls basketball coach Kelly Viken. And, first of all, Kelly, congratulations on your Coach of the Year honor. But Brindley Mallon, the most valuable player in the Pine to Prairie Conference, and then Tessa Manicky, the most valuable defensive award going to Tessa. Well-deserved honors.
They are well-deserved for Brindley Mallon being the MVP and Tessa Manicky being the Defensive Player of the Year for the conference. As far as the Coach of the Year award or whatever, that's really a tribute to the kids, the players, and my assistant, John Ekman. Without him, none of this happens, and without the players, none of it happens. And great group of kids to work with, and very pleased that they did earn those honors.
Last year, I know it was very disheartening losing to BGMR in the section finals, and you had a few seniors graduate. But the girls that came back, not many times you get a second chance in life like that, and you guys took advantage of it.
We did. It was a tough loss. It was a back and forth game. It was a real battle the whole game last year, and come out of there with a 3-point loss. And I think the girls that came back gave them a taste of that experience and that playing in that section championship game, and they worked very hard in the off season and all season to get back to that game. We had a few goals. One was to get back to the Pine to Prairie conference championship game, and we accomplished that and won a tough game against Park Christian. And then our goal was to get to the section championship game and not only get to it, but to win that game and get to state, and they accomplished that.
To win the section championship, it was tough, but your path to get even to the championship game itself was tough.
It was. We played some tough teams. Played Kitson County Central earlier. North Home Kellier's tough. We took our lumps with Cass Lake. That's a game that we were injured. We had somebody out with a concussion, Callie Burrock, and then we had the flu bug going through, so we had some girls that were playing but were pretty sick. Not making excuses. Cass Lake came that night and outplayed us and deserved that win, but we did enough to get the number 1 seed, which was huge, meaning we only had to go through Cass Lake or North Home Kellier, whoever won between those two, versus having to go through both of them and then play Kitson County Central.
That's a good point. That's a good example of how the seeding, it does make a difference. I was impressed with the resiliency your girls showed, bouncing back from the Cass Lake Bena loss, a 29-point loss to the Panthers at home. They come back and put things together. We saw that in the state tournament too. Last Thursday's game against Buffalo Lake Hector Stewart, pretty disappointing, I know, for the girls, but you bounce back the next day.
Bounce back, that was a tough game. We knew it was going to be a very tough game. They're a very talented team. They got, like you said, the twin guards there going to play at St. Cloud, and they got a sophomore who's already scored 1,000 points. Got a good post player, some other pieces around them. I believe they're a very solid team, as we saw. We didn't play our best basketball, and they shot really well, but we came back the next day and played a very tough Walker and went into overtime. We come up short on that, but we played well.
That came right down to, Brindley Mallon almost made that would have been the game-winning shot there, and then you go into overtime. But again, the girls showed a lot of resiliency, and I think I had to leave the state tournament with a good taste in their mouths.
It was a really good experience for the girls. It's something they've strived for, worked hard all their career in high school, and even starting from second, third grade basketball on up over the years. They put a lot of time in, and it's good to see that they got rewarded and accomplished that goal. It's a great experience for those girls and the underclassmen to give them a taste of it as well. Hopefully it's something we can build upon for the future.
Okay, both your opponents in the state tournament had twin sister guards. And in both cases, they were wearing 1 and 2.
1 and 2, yes, I know.
You got any twin sisters coming up here? Or?
Not that I know of.
Well, maybe somewhere down the line. But it was a great experience, and you saw such great crowd support, too, from the Greyhound fans.
Yes, it was good to see all the support, the fans coming down, and the businesses, local businesses in town supporting us, donations to help fund us. I mean, that's a big expense for the school. We were able to charter a bus, which made the ride a lot more comfortable getting down there and traveling around in the cities. So I appreciate all the support from the businesses in town and parents and everybody else. It's just a good overall experience for everybody.
Before we wrap up, Kelly, I want to give a little plug to the 4 seniors on the team. They all played their roles extremely well, and each and every one of them, I think you could almost say without one or the other, you probably wouldn't have gone to state.
Well, you saw that, when Callie Barak was out, when she had that concussion, we struggled there a little bit. And, they all bring something to the table. They all have a role. I mean, Vanessa Johnson was huge down the stretch against North Home Kellier and then against Kitson County Central. Brindley's been the rock all season, being the leader on the floor, getting us in the right sets offensively, matchups defensively. They all brought something to the table. And like I said before, Tom, I had a coach that I respect a lot say, before the season starts, you'll know what your season could be like depending on what you have for seniors, what you have for leadership. And we had 4 great seniors.
Next season seems far, far, far away. But like you told me the other night, we're just a few days away or a few weeks away from spring basketball and summer basketball, and the beat goes on.
The beat goes on, already starting to line up stuff for this summer. We always go do our Mayville team camp and working on which day we're going to go there, working on some other tournaments. So it's already starting for next season.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And that's what it takes if you want to be successful. These girls got to put in time in the off season to improve and get better and build upon that during the season.
I was going to say, with the interviewing the seniors and other players on the team, almost every one of them, when it came to a highlight or a memory, they'd bring up some summer basketball experience, whether it be Mayville or Wisconsin Dells or whatever.
We go to Wisconsin Dells every 3 years. That way, I believe everybody gets an opportunity to get there at least once, and some are lucky enough to get there twice.
Kelly, thanks again. Congratulations again on just a great year. A lot of great memories for the girls and for you and your coaching staff, and for the Greyhound fans. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Tom.
Join us now as we take a look ahead to the spring sports season. With us from Northern Cassie's, the head baseball coach for the Jags, that is Sam Johnson here. And Sam, crazy to think that we're knocking on the door of April, which means, practices are starting for spring sports, baseball in particular. Hopefully you're able to get outside more than you have been in prior years, for the first couple of weeks here of the season. So how's everything going for a coach's point of view compared to 365 days ago, where it probably felt like you had 30 feet of snow, from a coach's point of view before you finally got outdoors to really get some game and practice action in, Sam?
Yeah, it's really exciting. And first of all, Chase, just want to say thank you for the opportunity that you cover our kids and your whole program there. It's awesome for our kids to have some value in our area based on sports. So we're really excited for this year. We got a lot of returners that had some varsity experience last year. Of course, we lost a few, a little bit of talent with Keegan Neva and Jackson Hill gone. But I think our guys have a little bit of a different mindset this year, and the weather helps that. Being outside on the first day, we did get out yesterday just to get some throwing in and go over a few relays, but there's just a different sense of urgency that we've already felt this year. And kids putting in time in the preseason, getting to the ball yard on their own, getting in the gym to throw off a little bit of a mound. Just like I said, it's a different sense, and it's really come from the kids. It's nothing I've done different. So they're just ready to go and get outside, and hopefully April 2nd, we can get that opening day baseball played here against Central Cass.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of good programs, obviously, in this region as well. We always talk about the parity, but some years there's a team that's a little bit better than others, whether it's returning players at the varsity experience or some team has, 8, 9 seniors, on their particular roster every now and then. So when you take a look at Central Cass, at yourself, at Kindred, Richland, Enderlin, this, the Ball Stars, everybody that's in this region here, Sam, does it feel more parity this year than in years prior? Or do you feel like from a coaching point of view, there's someone that's at the top and everybody is playing behind that particular team this season?
I think there's teams that may stand out a little bit. I don't think there's one. The last few years, our top 5 teams in our region have been able to compete day in and day out for the most part. And it's the great teams that separate themselves in that top 5. And we know that, some of the teams that have struggled the last few years, they got guys coming up that can pitch. And they got a few guys in their lineup that got some pop and move guys around on base paths with their speed. So I think it really could be anybody's region this year. It's about the teams that get hot at the right time, are prepared for whatever the elements might be, and can stay healthy. And I think all 7 of the teams in our region have opportunities to open some eyes. I think personally, a little bit of bias, of course, with Northern Cass, but we have a great pitching staff coming back. And if we can put some bats together, we're going to be a tough team to beat this year.
The one thing I remember from prior years talking with you a little bit, Sam, too, was about the pitching staff the last couple seasons in terms of the style of what you like to play, also the ability to move guys around. But, you like to take a look at, Wadeson with Huzar and OC. What do those guys from a pitching point of view just provide for you as a coach, knowing you can throw someone out there and have hopefully a good solid, 4, 5, 6, depending on pitch count, depending on how many games they go in a particular week, but having a good, 4, 5, possibly 6 innings, on the mound in those region games.
Yeah, Trey, OC, Matthew Metzger, Matthew Hoppy's coming back for us this year. Lots of other guys that can just get on the mound and throw strikes. But I think a little bit part of that's underrated in high school baseball is having a reliable guy behind the plate. And that's Carter Wadeson for us. He's strong. He's got the right mind for baseball. He understands catching all of our guys and their different strengths and their different weaknesses. And last year he had 4 pass balls all year. Like, he is just a dude back there. And a lot of times teams forget about how important that can be to make your pitchers seem a little bit better. And our pitchers are great. Don't get me wrong. But I'm really excited to throw 4 or 5 guys out there when Chris Hoyling gets back and just be able to pound the zone and have a guy back there that we're not going to have to worry about giving up tons of free bases, even on some pitching mistakes. So, our pitching staff, I value that a lot. I think high school baseball, strikes is the most important thing, and the defense will play itself out. So we have guys that are going to throw it over the plate, and we just hope that they have really good days because we understand that sometimes it's just not your day. And we get over that too as a team. And our guys are so good about picking each other up when mistakes happen on the mound and behind the plate. So we'll just keep after it this year. And it's a priority for us for sure.
From the lineup standpoint, I know some years you might have a big bopper or two that can hit one out of the park. You got other years where maybe it's more of slashing, running, trying to go first to third or second to home if you have that opportunity. So what's the lineup going to look like this year, 1 through 9 for your squad here, Sam? What are you going to try to do offensively against the opposition's pitchers on the mound?
I mean, like any coach does, you want your best batters getting the most at-bats, your best hitters up there as much as you can be. So you're going to be in the top of the lineup. I'm going to have to play around a little bit this year with which guys are going to go where. And, maybe it's because we got guys hot at different times and just different styles of approaches at the plate, however you want to look at it. But I'm not exactly sure what it's going to look like quite yet. I always like to have, speedy guy top of the lineup whose on base percentages up there just to get that first guy on if we can. And then have some guys who are going to make contact after that. So whether that's power or whether that's slapping the ball around, I'm not sure yet where everybody's going to fall, but I know that we can do it all this year from guys that have put some time in the off season. And I'm a small ball guy. I'm from small town Minnesota, and that's how I used to do it. And so there's going to be opportunities for that. But I'm not going to be surprised if all of a sudden we look on the scoreboard and we got 12, 14 runs just based on some power to the fence too. So that's the coach's job, is to figure it out and put our guys in the right spots in the lineup. So it's going to take some time, but there's definitely some thoughts rolling around on how we're going to play offensively.
Mentioned a couple of players already, but what is Matthew Metzger? What do you hope to see from him on the baseball diamond here this year, Sam?
I want to see a lot of leadership out of him. His older brother graduated a couple years ago and was a good leader, and kind of has the name around Northern Cass for sports. And I hope he just steps up a little bit in terms of holding our guys together when times get a little tough. And then I hope that he really just kind of has a breakout year. He struggled to the plate last year a little bit, and there was some frustration. And I think he's put in a lot of time individually in the off season to have a great year. And then on the bump too, he's just nose down, grind it out, pound the zone. Not a whole lot affects him on the mound. So I'm excited for that too. But I think that leadership in him will be something that I'll keep an eye on this year because he has that ability in him.
And the same question with another Matthew, but with Hoppy, what do you hope to see from his performance?
Hoppy spent a lot of time in the weight room. And he didn't play for us last year. He kind of tried out track and had a great year there. Came back this year with a little bit of a different mindset and against some strength. And I think if we can consistently get bat on ball, that ball's going to fly around a little bit. He's an athlete, and so he's going to run the bases for us. We're going to put him in spots in the field that can cover a lot of ground. Just overall good athlete, and I think he's going to open up a few eyes this year, and my job to get him in the right spots.
What does a lefty on the mound provide? Trey Huszar, in terms of his ability, we always hear lefties make everything a little bit smoother. And it seems like in high school too, it's still a lot of righties either batting or a lot of righties that are, on the mound. But what does, Trey kind of provide with that southpaw mentality?
Yeah, Trey's a different animal when it comes to baseball. He bleeds baseball, and he puts in a lot of time as well. And a lot is an understatement for that, but his technique, his mindset, his energy that he brings on the mound is just something that a lot of programs don't have day in and day out. And for us to be able to have that the last couple of years, and now, junior year this year, senior year next year, just another chance to get better. A lefty in high school baseball that has the talent and works as hard as he does is bound for success. And that's where it's going to have to be. He knows that it's a big year for him. And he's ready to live up to the challenge. I know that he is a great leader for us, but it doesn't rely on one guy either. It's a whole staff, and it's a team game at the end of the day to bring in, our senior Carter Westland to be a leader with him and with those other guys. It's going to be really important. But lefties that pound the zone in high school baseball, I'm a believer, are always going to have success, and we're really looking forward to having him fill a lot of our innings.
Final thing for you, Sam, before I let you go. Obviously, everyone's taking a look at Mother Nature to see when the shoe will drop, right? Because we had such a, it seemed like easy, if you will, winter when it comes to high school athletics. But what does it mean for guys to get on the ball diamond in the month of March to hopefully get a handful of games, if not the vast majority of your games in April? The last couple of years, it's kind of felt like May 1st, and it's a sprint to the finish. And 3 weeks later, you're in the region tournament. And then a week after that, if you're fortunate enough, you're at state, and boom, it's June 1. It's like where'd the season go? So hopefully this year, get a lot more of the month of April and March in. But what does that do for a baseball coach? What does that do for a baseball team if you can look on the calendar and say, we're going to get out at least 3-4 times throughout the week, whether it's a practice or a game at this point of the season compared to last year being kind of cooped up in the gym because that's all that teams could really do?
Yeah, there's a lot that plays into that, from practice planning to just the energy of our kids, the morale, like we're going to the gym again. You try to shorten it up, just get in and get out. But even like yesterday, just being able to go outside for about an hour before your hands get cold. It's a huge change, just understanding that there's opportunity there. And when you're in the gym for 8-9 weeks, it's really hard to have any of that hope of like, when is this going to start? And then knowing the end of the school year is coming too, it's kind of that contradicting mindset, right? I want to be done, but we haven't even played a game yet. And so it's a huge morale boost for everybody. And all the coaches and the players that are in the upper Midwest playing baseball, they get it. And a lot of people don't, that aren't around the sport. And being outside for an outside sport like baseball, it's so important for these kids. And it's not fair to the kids to have a month season either. I'm a huge proponent of, in the future, being an advocate for our season to go a little bit into the summer and get some more games in. It keeps our kids healthier. They're not playing 4, 5, 6 days a week. Their arms, their bodies, their minds, their schoolwork, everything's going to be better if we can get a little bit of a season in there. So I think there needs to be some conversation at the upper level on how we can make it fair for our kids in North Dakota for baseball, to give them chances to play somewhere else too. And when you're only playing 14, 15, 16 games, it's hard for anybody to come look at you play. And so again, huge proponent for that. And anybody that's like-minded, I would love to reach out to and to see if we can put something together and propose that to give our kids more chance to be successful.
Yeah, no doubt. That's definitely been a question that's been brewing around there for quite some time. Sam, as always, thanks so much for your time and best of luck here this season for Northern Cass baseball.
Yeah, thanks again, Chase. Look forward to seeing you. Take care.
Again, Sam Johnson, head coach for Northern Cass, will continue after this on our Coaches Show. That does it for this week's edition of the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show. It's presented to you by the Hillsboro Economic Development Corporation. I'm Chase Miller. Join us again. Another edition coming up on Wednesday night on March the 27th at 7 p.m. as we'll put a bow on the winter sports season officially on the Minnesota side. We'll look forward to the spring season. That and more is still to come on the YourLiveEvent.com Coaches Show here on Your Live Event.